Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to speak in favour of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Housing and Productivity Contributions Bill 2023 as tabled, and I will have an amendment coming up regarding the existing contribution schemes that have been approved by former ministers. I will be seeking the support of the House for the Minister and the Government to recognise the long-standing work of the communities across the state, especially of those of my good friend, the member for Wakehurst, Michael Reagan, and my own community in the growth area of Wilton. These areas had existing contribution schemes approved and are in partial plan. My amendment will seek to have the Minister consider these to not duplicate the work already completed. For too long, governments in the past have let the houses come first with the promises of some infrastructure later. As an independent, I don't get to control the pen of the Minister. However, I do get to fight for things in my area, and this bill, I believe, will go a long way to providing the infrastructure that we desperately need. Splitting the states into regions identified through this bill will go a way to recognise the regional focus of infrastructure and how it can affect a wide area. And take, for example, Wollondilly, in particular, the long promised Picton bypass that you'll all be sick of hearing about. The bypass first came up as an alternative to the coal trucks that would roll through Picton and covered the schools on the main roads in dust and soot. And since then, 35 years ago, endless councillors and members have promised to deliver this bypass. I know the studies are taking place at present. I look forward to an update on the plans that are due this coming week from the Roads Minister, John Graham. All of the case studies for the bypass have highlighted the need for this sort of infrastructure. Picton is a beautiful town which unfortunately has been flooded, and it's had the town cut in half, inundated all the businesses in town. But they've proved their resilience every single day. Wollondilly also comes under risk of bushfires every season and has been affected badly with every major fire in the past 3 decades. For this township and the people who live in Tarmore, Thirlmere, and those who travel further from Buxton, Bargo, Pheasants Nest, and even travellers from the north part of my shire, the Oaks and Oakdale, have to travel through Picton to go to Campbelltown or Wollongong, the electorate of the Minister, in fact. Similarly, people who have moved into the areas of Wilton and Douglas Park, Appin and Menangle have to travel through Picton to go to Penrith or down the south as an alternative to the freeway if ever blocked. In Picton, we have a small 2-lane underpass of the rail line and we call it the hole in the wall, and a single wooden lane bridge that has little use, apart from perhaps a candlelight dinner or something, if it was ever closed. And honestly, the wooden ancient thing is always closed. The bypass would solve all these issues, and I understand there are a number of options, and as a councillor and candidate, previously I've advocated for whichever is going to be the cheapest and most effective for the state. The bypass would provide not only a safer way for residents to go through Picton, but also provide economic certainty for the businesses in town, allowing us to promote it as a tourist destination. This type of project has been demonstrated regional need, and I look forward to hearing in his reply how the Picton bypass will be delivered and is eligible for this exact sort of fund. More broadly, as a former mayor and councillor who has had to fight for infrastructure for my area, often at the cost of larger and more influential councils at the regional level, I'm looking forward to the depoliticisation of infrastructure expenditure and putting it where the development is. Over 40,000 homes are due to come into the Wollondilly electorate alone. Take that and the larger development in surrounding regions, and it is shameful that no guarantee from those who sat here previously for the infrastructure that we need. The base of schools and neighbourhood centres is one thing. The amount of people moving to the Macarthur region, the original second city of New South Wales, is astounding. We need infrastructure rolled out as fast as possible, and as someone new in this place, I am so excited to unlock this potential for Wollondilly. In listening to the debate so far, I'm surprised by the members of the coalition who claim to be now against the infrastructure contributions. The infrastructure contribution in Wilton that they left open for someone else to deal with had sums of over $50,000 per block, but these homes never had the bill sent to them. That's right, what the coalition delivered for my area was the homes, but absolutely no infrastructure. The bill seeks to have the needs met by sharing the load and reducing the cost of contributions in Wollondilly. And it's a bit rich to come here and speak about the homes in my area and the costs that the new owners will pay, while then claiming it's going to be affordable for them. However, let me seriously ask a lot of you here, how can you consider the affordability of a home without the consideration of all the infrastructure that is needed? That's right, Mr Speaker. We have new homes but no infrastructure, no jobs, no space for buses to even get down a street. How can anyone afford this type of life? That's what the members in this place want to, this is what the members in this place want to oppose what they're doing, damning my electorate and those in Western Sydney that carry the brunt of development with no infrastructure. I recognise the contributions of my friend, the member for Campbelltown. What a wonderful city, but what a terrible way the residents there have been treated. Where is the extra parking for cars at stations that residents were promised that use those stations, because the services on train lines in my electorate is so poorly delivered? Just one more promise in a long list of things that have been paid for in the imagination of some former members with monopoly money or even pretend cheques. There have been no plans for infrastructure that should be rolled out with the development. No plans, no funding and no reason. Members of the crossbench, I can tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I know. We need the infrastructure in Wollondilly now. The opposition who moved to oppose this should realise it is not in the best interest of our state. As a former mayor who has led the discussion on infrastructure, I have seen us miss out. Monies have gone elsewhere. This bill references the regions and how the funding will be split, much better than what we currently have. Take Wilton, a new town, a great new town, a town that was planned and built with the growth management strategy of Wollondilly Shire Council. The previous government might recall it from running it through the shredders. The infrastructure for the place never came. It was supposed to be one block for a home and one job. Is that what the agreement for the diverse, is what the agreement was for the diverse? And it split council in 2012. Now we have the new Wilton plan, and you know what they are marketing it as? Well, is it better than the old Wilton town or as bad as the old Wilton plan? It's a disgrace. And to claim it will stop housing in the state, come on. My care is my community, not the developers. Developers are seeking to get off any contribution they can. Well, I'm sorry to say if the developers can't do it correctly, then they shouldn't do it at all. And now we have the coalition trying to scuttle this funding without even simple research. The member for Oatley and Question Time stood here and promised to campaign on this, campaigning my electorate on this. Good, let's get on and do it. My community in Wilton looks forward to a paid advertisement from the Liberal Party on how I saved them over $30,000 per block, and that we finally have an agreement to have the load covered by the region for the regional investment that's needed. I look forward to an email showing how I, and thanks to my staff and team, have already achieved more and openly consulted more with both sides of government and have negotiated through a good solid amendment recognising the existing needs of our state. Do you know that our poor Wollondilly residents spend more than 17% of their income on travel? And how about some funding for public transport? How much have we had over the past few decades? It's nothing. It's about time to put money back into the areas where the housing's going.